Hello, everyone. HiiiScholar here. Just really dropping a note after the holiday season. Um, had some time to dig into social media land and had opportunity to bear witness to some back and forth between black male studies, scholars, and upstart. And um, I wouldn't say some full representation of the academy, but really representation of their ideals. And I just want to give my 2 cents from the perspective of motivational theorists. Um, as we study motivation throughout human history, it's really funny that something occurred really in the turn of the 1970s and 80s, along with a more diverse, quote unquote, equal workplace and DEI initiatives in their really early beginnings in the 80s. What you see in motivation theory is they go away from this real finite and constrictive idea of achievement motivation and having these certain identities that endemically have this achievement motivation, and now starting to see qualities in other identities and other groups and other cultures even that have motivation and are motivated by and moved by different factors and different things internally and externally. But the reason why black male studies is important is because black males were oftentimes left out of that conversation as it became more, as more identities were included in order to understand what motivation looks like from a diverse or in different for different people and as different people. Black males were still left with the old adages that were oftentimes stereotypical, lack science, and even before the 1980s when achieved motivation, it just really they were left out of theory altogether. So there was no kind of refined understanding or theorization around, or theories, I'll say studies the fancy words, around black males and their motivation. And in spaces like education, which I study, there's a lot of conversation of why they lacked motivation, and a lot of armchair explanations. And it wasn't until 2000s when I come into the field where I start seeing black male educational researchers and black women educational researchers and educational researchers of all types really having more of a conversation around black males not purely having this problem coming from either who they are naturally or where they come from, and having some type of natural disability to be motivated for education. It almost seemed like so. Seeing the conversation on the timelines and in social media spaces is not it's not surprising. It's always amazing, but never surprising, is what I like to say, because I read it in scholarly works that went back to the 30s, and even before then, we start thinking about even intelligence and how they conceived of intelligence and intelligence quotients and intelligence testing. It was really intended to show the black people, but especially the black male, as buffoonish, as a moron, as an imbecile, and to have this very constrictive version of what it means to be motivated. And even as those theories have become more humanistic, have become more all-encompassing, and understanding that different cultures and different identities are motivated and moved and driven by different factors and different ways of being, black men, black boys, especially in education research, still have been left to be understood, and oftentimes they're left out of these conversations because the understanding that they do have is that black boys, black men, black males lack motivation, especially to be educated, especially to contribute to society through their education. And that's something that I went into the field to undo, because that's not the truth. That's not what America has lived. That's not what any place in the world has really lived. And that's really a stereotypical belief that is now filtered its way into scholarship, and it's been used to justify funding and grants. We've had programming that is focused on black boys in education. However, it's fallen short oftentimes because of these beliefs of what the issue is. And until we start being honest about what's affecting the motivation of black boys and men and black males in general, we're not trying to fix it. We're trying to either make ourselves feel better about the situation or somehow blame the black boys and men themselves for a situation that has systemically affected them and not so much something that they created. So I don't want to be here long. Just wanted to go ahead and get my 2 cents to a conversation about black male studies and its necessity, and how, there's this conversation about exclusivity when really what black male studies, from my vantage point, is trying to do is to really do some truth telling about black boys and men and black males, as well as other identities who have fallen victim to this kind of one-sided story. So hope you guys take something from this, just as a motivational theorist, educational psychologist, educational researcher. HiiiScholar here. Peace.